There's something really dangerous going on in ICP right now, and it's happening within the ICP community, something I've been reading about on YouTube, I've seen in videos and comments, and so many other places. This particular problem is something that cost me thousands of dollars back in the last bull market. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what I'm talking about, along with some stats, some figures, and some key information that we need to have as ICP holders to make sure that we're not overexposed. Do me a favor, hit that like button, and let's find out what I'm talking about. Now guys, if you're subscribed to the channel, which hopefully you are by now, then you'll know that I've been posting ICP videos throughout last year, buying into ICP around $2, $3, and absolutely making a killing, as we see the ICP price currently sat around $12.50. So what is it? What's my problem? Why am I so upset about things I'm seeing in crypto right now? Well guys, you're probably aware. It's confirmation bias. And I've told you so many times about it, but no one seems to be getting it. Confirmation bias is what we all have. Our brains try and shortcut things to make our decisions seem like more reasonable choices. It means we focus only on the facts that support our idea and we dismiss everything that doesn't agree with what we're trying to do. So in this case, if I've invested in ICP and I think it's the best project in the world, I'm not willing to hear anything that might just be a cause for concern. And no, to all of you keyboard warriors warming up your fingers being like, oh, he's just trying to drive the price of this multi-billion dollar coin down so he can buy cheaper. Firstly, my channel doesn't have that power. But secondly, that again is your confirmation bias. If you're thinking that, then I'm talking to you. Okay, I'll get to the point. There's no secret that if we go across to YouTube and look through, then we've got this bloke walking around in the woods talking about ICP, lots of others making strong and interesting valid points about the positive cases of ICP. And guys, I am a holder of ICP. There are a lot of positive cases for holding ICP, but we need to maintain balance, and I'll tell you a little story from my past. And no guys, this is not a BitBoy crypto sob story. Before my life in crypto began, I used to trade a few cheeky little stocks and shares on the London Stock Exchange. And as a complete degen, obviously I liked the AIM section, which is like the smaller market cap shares. Now, as you can see from this news article back in 2015, I was quite interested in a project called 88E. It was a tiny market cap coin looking to find oil in Alaska, and I got quite heavily involved in this London Southeast Stock Exchange website where you could go and chat with other 88E holders, and it was the most furious, aggressive chat going. And if you want to jump into that, it's still there, it's still pumping, it's still aggressive. Now I bought in around 29 cents. 4 or 4 years rolled around, they're digging the biggest wells in the world, everyone is so bullish on AAE, and the price currently is 0.24, which is 5 cents lower than I bought it for in about 2014. And yes, there was a time when there was a massive spike, and I made loads of paper profits, and I didn't sell anything, and then I still, I think, probably hold some shares here somewhere, but I can't get access to them because somewhere I've lost the password. So what was my problem? My confirmation bias was telling me that AAE was the best thing since sliced bread, and every time I heard people being like, actually, you should be more cautious of, the fact that their drilling reports are a little bit sketchy, and that they actually don't own the land that they're drilling on and all these other bits and pieces, then it started to make a lot of sense. If you're an AAE holder and I've upset you, I'm sorry. So guys, this is something that caught my eye. Dawson Allen, who has 1.37 thousand subscribers, makes a variety of different crypto videos, but one that caught my eye in particular was ICP won't survive, because I've been in this game long enough to know that we must go towards that stuff that makes us uncomfortable, because everyone wants to tell you that ICP is going to go to the moon, and everyone wants to do that because you want to watch those videos because it makes you feel a little bit warm and cozy, makes everything feel better. But guess what? That's the feeling that's going to fuck you over, because now you're not prepared to look at potentially things that could challenge this as a potential investment. Because if you get into the comments of this guy's video, you don't get it, try again. First point makes no sense, you don't understand anything. Actually, this guy, who's also a subscriber of my channel, makes a very good one here. Actually makes a really valid point. I'm into ICP, but it was nice to hear from you, and the next side, or the other side. Perfect. You're literally talking nonsense, please more research before saying something. So obviously guys, being a lazy bloke that I am, basically took the transcript of this video and asked Claude, my old friend, to drill down on this guy's concerns and information. Decentralization claims, centralization among institutions, inflationary tokenomics. Fundamental idea of decentralizing the internet. He argues that the internet is already decentralized and ICP would not necessarily make it more decentralized. So in response to everyone's comment, they're like, ha ha, the internet is not decentralized. And okay, fair enough. It's run through a handful of different providers, of which Amazon is one, Google is another, 2 of the biggest companies in the entire world, who theoretically you're going to have to try and replace if you are to implement the internet computer. Now, if we look into this article on coinhustle.com, how to become an internet computer node operator, then you can see something that Dawson Allen was actually talking about in his video. He said that all of the nodes pretty much were owned by venture capital companies, and the venture capital companies want to keep hold of them because they make lots of ICP doing it, and therefore it's not particularly decentralized. And that was the part about centralization among institutions. Now, he also went on to talk about inflationary tokenomics, and there is obviously the argument for the burning capacity and things like that, which is why maybe people called him out and said that actually, you know, this is kind of worth having a balance. But, you know, but to be honest, from what I see in the comments, how many people are actually going in there, getting out that calculator and comparing the kind of burn ratios against the actual inflation. Having done this recently, it will actually only ever become deflationary if it can get enough people on board, and that's great. But what we should consider is something else. As we look into this ICP chart, one of the things that had me so bullish through the summer and last year, basically while we were down in this area, was the fact that ICP got absolutely shafted by FTX at the start of its kind of lifetime. Okay, that's why basically you have this ridiculous looking chart, all because FTX basically manipulated the price, which meant that ICP then existed in this area under here, basically kind of tossed to the side, not really respected by anyone. If you made an ICP video in the middle of last year like I did, coming and shitting on me, telling me that I didn't know anything because ICP was complete shit, but actually then, you know, the price started to move, and now everyone else kind of jumps on board and thinks ICP is the best thing since sliced bread. Good to be a trendsetter, although Jerry Banfield is definitely the biggest ICP trendsetter out there. But after this period down here where ICP was heavily undervalued, it then started to return to areas of fairer value. How do I know it's returning to areas of fairer value? Well, because guys, when it tries to get up above $16 or so, it's getting pushed back down. Now, I'm not saying that ICP can't go higher than 16 bucks. Absolutely, it's going to be worth more than 16 bucks. Well, 12 bucks at the moment, 16 bucks in the future, for sure. But right now, in the early stages of crypto markets like this, a lot of the money that is coming in is from the smart investor, okay? The kind of the retailer who's a bit more clued up, which hopefully when we get away from our confirmation bias, we become. And yes, there's obviously venture capital involved because this is a big market cap coin and they do need to push it up. But ultimately, there's a kind of a middle section of any bull market that is mainly controlled by the arrival of large funding, large venture capital, etc. Before you get to the end of the market cycle, when you get the full retail wave coming in and surging that last part of the market where then all the venture capital and smart money start to sell off. And if you just muttered to yourself under your breath, ICP is different, no, it's all the same. Every crypto will go through a bull market and into a next bear market at some period of time. Whether we're talking Bitcoin, ICP, Casper, HBAR, whatever you want to talk about. It happened before, it will continue to happen in the future because liquidity comes in and out of the markets. So what's driven this pump? Well, perhaps a bit of education. People didn't really know much about it down here. They just thought it was a dirty scam because of that FTX thing. People then became a bit more educated because of the likes of Jerry Banfield and hopefully myself. This has then started to inject people into the market. That then led to a lot more people kind of being more positive about it, and the overall spin and attitude towards ICP has been way more positive. So theoretically, if the price is increasing, then the value of ICP overall should be increasing, right? Well, let's find out. Coming across to tokenterminal.com, which is a paid website, but this is a free one you can go and look at. I'm not even signed in. We can see something very interesting about Internet Computer, looking at the key metrics. Now, if we come down below and we make sure that we select fees and core developers, then we can see some very interesting things. Why am I using fees and core developers? I hear you cry. And in fact, by the way, I'll add in market capitalization. This purple line represents market capitalization. Market capitalization today sits around $5.9 billion with a B. And you're like, well, that's not a lot of money for the future of the internet. Yes, of course. How does the future of the internet look? Many of you will be like, well, it looks like ICP because ICP is run by this big non-profit called Definity, and it's amazing, blah, blah, blah. It's non-profit, so it's going to go everywhere. Rolex, the world's most famous watch company in the world, is also a non-profit, but also charges insane money for watches and basically holds watches back and drives up the prices of watches to insane levels, especially when bull markets are on. Now, what we can see at the top is this green line, which is the number of core developers working on ICP right now. You can see that there has been, since like the start of the year 2023, or around this time last year, 130 to now 117. So that kind of amount of people, core developers working on ICP right now, isn't really fluctuating at all. And if I switch on so we can see the fees, then you can see yesterday that ICP made $148. So I made more than ICP yesterday. I'm not bragging because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys did as well. Some days it made like $35, which is kind of crazy because it's worth $5.9 billion. And you're like scrambling now. You're like, okay, fine. But the idea is there. This is like investing in Amazon on day one. Well, it's not, because if you invest in Amazon on day one, Amazon was worth not a lot on day one. And after years of sustained revenue growth and turnover growth, the actual valuation of the company rose with it as well. And I want to compare something, and yes, I do hold more Solana than I do ICP, but you can't argue with these statistics. But if you're still arguing with these statistics, then yeah, keep going, fine, Happy to always be proved wrong if you can give me decent stats and figures down below. The number of core developers over the period of time with Solana, you can see there's also not really doing a huge amount. There's not a much in terms of like more development going on chain on Solana. So that's kind of not necessarily the best proof of anything. But this purple line represents the market cap of Solana over the last year or so, which has also grown in a kind of a similarly aggressive way to ICP, although actually a little bit more, a couple of extra X's. And you can see fees like $1.2 million, like the fees are absolutely surging towards the upside. And you're like, yeah, but the market cap of Solana is like 55 billion, which is a 10x on ICP, and ICP is better than Solana, so it's going to do like a 10x to get to the value of Solana. Whoa. Okay, Solana right now is basically flipping Ethereum for volume. Look at this yesterday. Just in, Jupiter Exchange flipped Uniswap in DEX volume to claim #1 spot across chain. Jupiter's a new DEX on Solana. Had a big day on Wednesday with a massive airdrop, which I talked about in a video I made yesterday if you want to qualify for the next airdrops, where you can potentially make millions of dollars like this 17-year-old did in the Jupe airdrop. This tells us something really big, because these fees compared to the market cap are going insane. Okay, what about something else? What about Cosmos? This is the market cap for Cosmos in the purple line, and then you can see the fees also growing as well. Now again, this is worth considering. $3.9 billion market cap, and then the fees again obviously like significantly lower compared to the overall market cap. But it's very obvious to see this kind of growth curve that's going on here. So why am I telling you this? Well, right now I feel like ICP is having a really good run and has become really like popular amongst YouTubers and retail, and it continues to feed its own narrative because you've bought it and you're searching for it all the time, because now YouTubers are continuing to make content about it, so you go and click on their content and give them views, and then they're going to continue to make more and more about it, and it kind of then makes everyone feel that it's a really big like happy party together where we're all like these ICP legends. And eventually at some point in the bull market you're just going to be fed this complete narrative thing that like ICP is going to change the world forever and I'm going to make 1,000x and I'm holding my bag, and then you back down at the bottom of the next bear market. And that's the point of all of this. What I've just shown you is some statistics that would support a reasoning behind why, we're not really seeing the adoption perhaps that ICP will get. But this is crypto, okay? Crypto does feed that narrative. GameFi in the last bull market went crazy, but most of those GameFi projects are crap, okay? I think it's going to happen again. The real narratives, I think, are worth their kind of weight in crypto, which is very rare because most of crypto is not worth its weight right now because we're still very early. Okay, crypto is about buying promises and then selling the promise at a later stage of that promise developing. We must be able to look at both sides of the story, because if we can't do that, we get too emotionally attached to digital coins, bits of code that don't really have much meaning. And yes, like the decentralized internet, and this all sounds really nice and really good, and ICP's website is phenomenal, very, very interesting with a huge amount of detail. They have the biggest blockchain team that has ever really existed across crypto. They're led by one of the brightest minds in the entire crypto sphere, and they are a hugely ambitious and exciting project. This narrative could help to drive them. Do I think that we go and do a 10 or 20x from here this bull market? I think it's going to be a bit tricky, but I do think in the next bull market after this one, towards the sort of 2030 era, that maybe ICP by then could be starting to look a bit more positive. And no guys, it's not about buying right now and holding till 2030, because that would just be absolutely crazy. Like, think about all the people who bought Bitcoin down here at like 10 grand, and then it went all the way up here at like 5x, where you could have cashed out for like 50 grand, and then it went all the way down here, and they're like, oh, well, I'm now up, 294% in nearly 3.5 years. But they could have cashed out at any point after about here, and then waited for it to get all the way back down here, bought again, and actually been far better off than if they just kind of held through. I think it's worth considering that ICP is extremely ambitious, and in my opinion, I want it to make up a portion of my portfolio. How much it makes up of my portfolio varies between 5 and 10%, and the higher it gets towards that $20 mark, it's going to be starting to dip lower and lower all the time. People who are writing in the comments that I am all in on ICP, to be honest, I think is pretty bonkers. And I know that probably hurts and really upsets a lot of people out there, but you should be looking across board. Look at the way the narratives are moving and the excitement and things that are going on. Look into DeepIn. AI is absolutely booming right now. The demand for GPUs and AI is something like 10x every 18 months, but the supply availability is 2x every 18 months. That means that the off-chain cloud compute services are not going to be able to deal deal with that demand, it has to go decentralized to be able to cope with that demand going forward, especially in gaming, especially in AI. Deepin so obvious, okay? And yes, ICP could also benefit from that whole Deepin space as well. And I would love to see it. Hopefully that's helped you. If you really get upset and don't like what I've got to say, then that's absolutely fine. I'm here to try and help you. And sometimes the hard words are the ones we need to hear. Now, if you're looking for someone to really hold your hand and guide you through these really challenging, stressful, and downright exciting markets, then that's why we've created the League, where myself and 10 other full-time crypto experts, where some of them are working as analysts, others are working as venture capital, others are just 6- and 7-figure traders, are sharing their insight on a daily basis. And within these groups, we've made sure that the only people who are allowed to post are proven crypto experts who've made 6 or 7 figures in crypto in the past. This means that we cut out completely all the noise and you get to buy into the cryptos at the very best points. Back on the 26th of January, one of our experts was talking about Pyth and the impact of Pyth staking on the network. He was then sharing all the data and things that were going on with Pyth. And from the 26th, which was just a few days ago, it then ramped up all the way to around 60%. We can now see it sitting healthily around 33% and continuing to grow while the rest of the market sits fairly static. And this is just one example. Almost every day now as well, there's a live tutorial, whether it's given by myself, where I talk through charts, I can take your questions and go through all the different analysis, looking at your own portfolios and things like that. There's also other experts who are taking people through airdrop training. There's people running live trading classes and other stuff as well, like online networking sessions each week. And into the future, we're going to be looking at doing in-person meetups in places like the UK, US, Asia, etc. And if you want to lock all this in right now, it's available at $97 per month. But there's a huge amount of value in there, and we will be increasing the price soon. So if you want to lock that in for a lifetime, then make sure you go and click on the link for the VIP League just down below in order to go across to the landing page and see all the data that's available there. Hope you enjoyed that video, guys. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe, and I'll see you in the very next video. Bye-bye.